We are live.
Good morning.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Our goal was to get on here at 9. It's 9:17, so it still is a part of the 9 o'clock hour. So we're on time. That's my that's my belief, is that as long as it's in the 9 o'clock hour, we're on time. What do you think about that?
I'm rubbing off on you.
So you know what I want to do? I want to talk about, there's a lot, I was thinking a lot about beliefs and how they impact happiness. And so for those, I don't remember, did I say what my 2025 goal was in the first episode? Well, anyway.
I don't think so, but you can repeat it.
My 2025 goal is happiness. Like, not just general happiness, but really to focus and make happiness the focus, because some kind of way, I'm not sure how this happened, because when I reflect upon like my past, life, my early years of my life, happiness was always the goal, and then everything else was secondary. But some way I got in my head a belief that I had to sacrifice happiness to be successful.
Interesting.
I think it happened after 40. I think after I turned 40, I think that's when that happened. That shift. I'm not sure. I can't pinpoint it. But it happened. And so then the shift, my belief shifted to work and success was the most important, and then I'll be happy if I achieve those goals. Where I never, that wasn't my blueprint before.
So could it be that, so I have a belief. One of my beliefs is that children inherently are happier than adults. And it's because, obviously the responsibility is not there, the stress of life hasn't hit them yet. And they live in the present. They don't really focus on, okay, what's going to happen that creates that anxiety and that fear, right?
Yeah.
And they don't live in the past, because whatever happened, and now they've moved on from it. So.
Now, when you say children, like what age group are you talking about?
I would say from, babies till about maybe 12, 11, 12. Because I feel like at the 11 and 12 age is when the, I guess the realization, right, of responsibility comes into play, when they have to do things around the house, when they have to, be responsible for their homework and, their school work and, their friends maybe, and all the things that add up that create, anxiety, fear, all the things that people feel that cause them to react.
Yeah. I would agree with that.
There's more self-aware. So, things that would kind of.
You can come on in.
Kind of get them to feel those things. I don't know. But
Yeah.
I just noticed that they have a lot of freedom and joy, and they're so much happier with close to nothing.
Yeah.
Like, kids can play. So, for example, when we took our kids to the Dominican Republic that time, and it was a mission trip, and we were helping one of the first public schools. I forget the city, but it was in the Dominican Republic. There, they have to pay for school, and this was one of the first government-funded schools. They had like 700 and something kids in the school.
Yeah. They had to have classes on shifts because they couldn't accommodate everyone.
Yeah, and they had to walk. The kids had to walk to school because there was no transportation, no busing or anything. They had kids elementary through middle school, I think, was the first shift, and they were in the morning until like 1 o'clock. And then they had to have the high school kids come in from like 1 to 4. And there were about 70 kids, they said, in one classroom. And it was just crazy to see, but it was also eye-opening for our children to see, and the kids' interactions, because most of the kids could not speak English. They didn't have the luxury of having a teacher to teach them English.
Right, and they had, I mean, they had very, very little, you know, they had to share, you know, 4 kids had to share like one bedroom and sometimes one bed.
Yep.
But they were so happy.
They were so happy.
Yeah.
And we got there and we brought things for them. You know, we built them a library, but we brought them snacks. And the reason why that was so impactful for me, and I remember that, is because these are the types of things that we take for granted here, especially our children take for granted. We brought them chips, right, as a snack, just, you know, because they were working too, they were helping. And just to see their reaction when they saw that we brought them snacks, they were so grateful.
Yes, the gratitude was,
It was crazy. And then our kids interacted with each other and played with each other, even though they spoke 2 different languages. Our kids don't know Spanish, and they didn't know English, but somehow they were able to communicate.
Yeah, it was like the level, gratitude and happiness, they go hand in hand. Like the more gratitude that someone has, whether they're a child or an adult, the more happiness, right? And so that's the reason why, you know, every generation complains that, you know, the latter generation's spoiled and they don't appreciate anything. And I feel like generations get less and less happy, to be quite honest.
Because the more
that they have, the more that they expect, and you know, the level of expectations up here, perceived realities here, and then that's where unhappiness happens. So
So I think it may be because you were younger. I don't know.
I'm not saying that I wasn't as happy as those Dominican kids when I was younger.
No.
I wasn't running around like just no. And a lot of my negative beliefs started as a kid. And so, you know, I wasn't unhappy. Like by me saying my focus is happiness, it's not like I'm saying I'm unhappy, right? But I think there's being unhappy, which is a negative thing. Then there is kind of in between where you're just, you know, oblivious,
riding the wave.
Right? Riding the wave. And then there's happiness, right?
Yeah.
And
One question.
Oh, sure.
I need you to move some clothes, please.
Oh, I'll see.
okay, alrighty.
Excuse me.
No worries. We have some contractors in finishing up some stuff in the house. So, what's interesting is that the levels of happiness, right? When I was a kid, I wasn't unhappy. I wouldn't say I was just running around skipping and just happy, because some of my negative beliefs started then, which kind of caused me to not be happy. So just to kind of give you a little background. So as a kid, after 10 years old, we moved to Alabama and we were isolated, right? And we were isolated when I say isolated, we lived in the country. There was more dirt roads than paved ones. And so there wasn't a lot of kids around and things of that nature, but I enjoyed the freedom. We had, you know, pigs and chickens and horses and stuff like that. So that it was fun. Very difficult to be bored, you know, because there was always something that you can do, but I didn't have a whole lot of interaction. And I think I became quite introverted because of that isolation. And so, you know, my dad, he really enjoyed being outdoors and on the tractor and cutting wood and you know, hauling hay and feeding the cows and all this, right? But I viewed that as work, and I didn't enjoy that because, you know, my dad would wake me up in the morning and it'd be cold and we got to go out there and chop wood and all this kind of stuff, right? So that, I viewed that as work. And I said, my dad works all the time. He included me, you know, against my will. So I wasn't having fun. So one of the things one of my early beliefs is, well, life is easy, but work is hard. Because I didn't recognize that my dad actually enjoyed the work. I didn't
Right.
recognize that he actually loved all this stuff that he was doing.
Right.
I
Which is
just
why
know.
you moved there.
Yeah,
in
yeah,
the
yeah.
first place.
Yeah, right. That's why he moved there. We moved from Los Angeles, California, right? And oh man, my mom was not happy. I mean, we had just renovated the house in California, and we had like everything at our fingertips and all of this stuff. And we moved from Los Angeles, California, to Evergreen, Alabama, out and outside the city limits, the town limits of Evergreen, Alabama. So
In the
we're
sticks.
in the sticks, yes. And my dad was thrilled. He was so happy. And, we didn't even have a house to live in. We had to live in, so the house that my dad purchased, the land, he bought some land in the house, there were squatters in the house. And so we couldn't get the squatters out, right? So we couldn't even move in on our own land. We had to get one of my dad's friends that he had just met. We had to stay in their field with our RV. We had an RV that we went. We had to stay there. It was about almost a year and a half.
Huh.
Yeah.
What a coincidence.
Yeah. We were in an RV. It was me, my mom, my dad. I was 10 years old at the time. It was me, my mom, dad, and my 2 adult brothers in one RV for about a year and a half until we can get on the land. And so once we got on the land, the house didn't have running water, didn't have electric, and my dad had to like pretty much rebuild the house. There was no heat. The only way to heat the house was with a fireplace. So it was not fun at all. And the whole thing was work. I was 10. I was kind of oblivious and what have you, right? But this was, it was a lot of work. So that's where I developed the belief, well, life is easy because I'm a 10-year-old kid, but work is hard. And in order to get what you want, you had to work hard. So because I was a kid, I didn't want much. So I didn't have to work until my dad made me, right? So it wasn't a big deal. But here's the other belief that happened when I was little. I thought I was dumb. Not dumb like, dumb, but I didn't think I was smart.
You mean like you thought you were kind of slow, or
Yeah,
like you weren't like normal.
I wasn't.
Children.
No, I thought I had below average intelligence. And the reason is because I almost flunked out of kindergarten. The reason why I almost flunked out of kindergarten is because I was colorblind. Well, I am colorblind. And everything is color coordinated in kindergarten, and no one recognized the fact that I couldn't see colors because, I wasn't diagnosed.
Right.
So I was getting all the answers wrong, and so the teachers, they just labeled me as slow. And so my mom was like, how mothers are, right? My baby's not slow. So I had to be put in these special classes until they figured out that I was colorblind, right?
Right.
So that was like, it just was stamped, and then that was just my belief. The other belief was that I was lazy. Now that I blame on my mom. But it was because I slept all the time. I didn't, and all kids, the parents say you're lazy and blah, blah. We don't want to do work.
Yeah.
But I used to sleep all the time. My mom would send me to my room to clean my room, and then she would come in and I would just be asleep. But it turned out I had narcolepsy, which didn't get diagnosed until I was an adult.
Right.
But I had it as a kid. And my mom used to just always tell me all my childhood, like, up until I got diagnosed, actually, you're lazy. So I just thought I was lazy. So I thought I was not that smart and lazy.
Right.
So then that led to, a lot of things that I did to compensate. One of those things was I always had to seek out thrills. I had to always stimulate myself. So I never could just be idle. I couldn't just sit and watch TV because I'd fall asleep. I couldn't read because I'd fall asleep. So I always had to do something, whether it's I would go out and go fishing. I would, at 11 years old, I got my shotgun out trying to, shoot squirrels. You know what I mean?
Didn't you say that you had a study partner? You had to have study partners too in med school?
In med school, yes. So this is interesting. Because I thought I was lazy, because I thought I was not that smart, I cheated in high school. And I perfected cheating. Like I had a whole system. But what it was I would, so there was these things called cheat sheets, right? And I mastered writing really small, and then I would like have it in my pocket, and I'd pull it out and put it in, between my legs and look at it. It was a whole system. No, serious, it was a whole system. It was a whole system.
I hope none of our kids watch this episode.
Well, listen, it's because of my beliefs. I didn't,
Wow.
I was lazy, so I couldn't, I didn't want to study. But the fact is, I couldn't study because I would fall asleep. And I didn't think I was that smart. So I had to please my mom. My mom demanded that I got A's, so I had to do that. So what I did was I created these little cheat sheets, right? And I created a system. And I remember I used to actually do them for my friends. I had like literally, about 3 or 4 people.
So you were a cheating hustler.
I was. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Oh my goodness.
I was.
We need a whole episode on that.
Yeah, and so here's what happened. So I would spend all this time writing out these cheat sheets. And because I wasn't dumb, that was my way of studying, but I thought I was doing all this work to get over.
Right.
So I would do all this, and I would rarely have to use the cheat sheets.
Yeah.
And so because I would know it after I did all of that, right? Yeah. And so then I would just I would be helping out my friends and stuff like that, right? So I remember, I'll never forget this. Let's just, for the sake of not calling anybody's name out, we'll just call him Joe, right? Mm-hmm. So Joe was a good friend of mine, and nothing came easy to him. He had to, if he had new clothes, he had to buy himself. He was one of the only people that I knew that worked early, 9th grade and in high school. Everything he had to work so hard for everything. He was a solid B student, the whole thing. And I remember we were in our senior year, and my mom says, "You could be valedictorian." I was like, "Mom, I can't be valedictorian. I don't want to be valedictorian." I didn't want to say, I cheated my way to get here. I can't be valedictorian, right? So anyway, I remember having a conversation with her, and I did it for so long. It was just normal to me, right? Yeah. So I remember I was talking to Joe, and I just mentioned, blah, blah. I told him kind of what I did. He was like, "You've been cheating?" And I said, "Yeah, everybody does it, right?" You know what I mean? It's like you don't,
That's your other belief.
Yeah, right. That's my belief. Everybody does it. What's the big deal? And he says to me, all this time, he was so deflated because he kind of held me up on a pedestal, right?
Yeah, he was probably looking to
he
you for
was
inspiration.
So deflated, and he says, "All this time, I thought you were smart. And to find out that you've been cheating all this time." And the look on his face, I remember this. It burned that I'm not smart into my head even more.
It reinforced it.
It reinforced it, right? And I felt like shit. I was damn, and because I wanted people to like me as well, right? Mm-hmm. And so then I started college. And college, my fear was people are going to find out how dumb I am, right? Because college, that's a different level.
Right.
My mom filled out all of my paperwork, right? Because I was lazy. I didn't even fill out my application. She applied for scholarships. She did everything. It was like she was going to college. I didn't do anything. And my dad was so pissed. She would do my homework sometimes, right? My dad used to get so pissed at my mom. "Why are you doing his homework for him?"
That's because her baby is slow.
He's like, he fell asleep. We got it. What do you want him to do? Fail?
Gosh.
What do you want him to do? Fail? And my dad was like, if he needs to fail, he needs to fail,
Right.
right? So she filled out all my college applications, scholarship. She got me a full ride to Alabama State University, presidential scholarship, and I freaked out.
Now, also, you didn't mention that you were also younger than most of the kids.
Oh, right.
Like you graduated 2 years.
I graduated high school when I was
before
16.
Well, like a year or
A year.
a year and a half. Because
Year and a half, yeah.
the average student who graduates, I think they graduate at like 17 and a half. I was 18 because my birthday's in March.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so I thought I was dumb. My mom thought I was brilliant. So she always tried to get me into these like advanced classes. She worked the system when we moved.
I love that we're doing this because I'm learning so much more about
I'm learning about myself. Damn. So this is crazy. All right, so she worked the system. They're gonna take like all my degrees away after this episode.
It's
Like,
too
they're
late
just
now.
gonna come back and
It's too late.
confiscate them all.
But you know the stuff already. It's been over 25 years.
Damn. All right. So anyway, my mom finagled the system, and she got me skipped a grade coming from L.A. to Alabama. Right? At least that's my belief. Maybe I tested
You,
out.
probably, you had to test. They had to test
I don't know. My belief is she
You might have
finagled
cheated,
the
though.
system and she got me skipped, right? My mom's story is my baby's brilliant and he needs to be advanced.
Right.
So she skipped me a grade. So I was a year younger than all of my classmates and I ended up graduating at 16. Now, here's the other thing that promoted me feeling like I was dumb. So not only did she skip me a grade, but then she got me put in these advanced classes and I was lost. I'm like, I don't even know what the hell they're talking about. They're talking about like literature and all this. I ain't read a book in my life because I couldn't read. I mean, I could read, I knew how to read, but I couldn't read because I'd fall
didn't
asleep.
read.
I didn't read because I'd fall asleep. I physically couldn't read because I would fall asleep. They're talking about literature and book reports and all this. I'm like, I ain't read a book ever.
That's so funny. I don't read either. My reasoning is different though.
Well, you have ADD.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that as a child. So my belief was also that I was just lazy too. Because I would literally go to the library and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna study. I have all my books, I put my books out like everybody else, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, subject number 1. I take my notebook out, I'm ready. I start highlighting, start reading, and all of a sudden I get lower and lower.
And then it's out.
And then my head hits the table, and that's it. I'm done for the rest of the time. So the way that I
Ain't
went through
nothing
school,
changed. Ain't nothing changed.
hey, don't tell everybody. The way that I went through school was by paying attention. I paid attention in class, and I was a B student by paying attention in class. Didn't study, didn't do, well, I did some
We don't need to
homework,
be together.
but-
You can't have two people with the same
it
issues
worked.
together. We do not need to. Oh my
But
God.
I wasn't lazy.
There are people from my high school. Kenya, man. I hope. Oh
Now
my
they know.
God.
That's so funny.
Kenya, what is up, dude? So, Kenya said, now you tell us. Don't think I didn't help you, Kenya, with my little cheat sheets. Don't even try to play. No.
That is so funny.
No, but here's the thing. Kenya was at the top of the class as well. And so we would like, compete for grades. Like he was like one of the smartest people in the class and stuff, right? So anyway, but
Sorry,
yeah.
not to throw you off, but
Yeah.
when you said that, it just reminded me that I had the same
Yeah.
challenge. I still do. I listen to audiobooks because I can't read them.
So I'm 16 when I graduate, okay? So now I'm younger than everybody. I people are gonna figure out that I'm not smart. I'm going into college, and my mom got me a presidential scholarship. So they had separate dorms for the presidential scholars. We take
Oh my goodness.
an entrance exam, right? Like, so you have to, like, because they don't believe, this is one great thing about HBCUs, they don't believe in like turning people away. They want to work with where you are, right? So
Yeah.
if you don't, if you need help, they'll put you in remedial classes, to help you, right? So there's no need to go to like a junior college. You just will be in school a little bit longer, right? So anyway, so you have to take entrance exams. I'm like, we're presidential scholars. We shouldn't have to take entrance exams. That was my belief.
Yeah.
Talking about beliefs, right?
Yeah.
So he's like, no, you have to do it. It's formality, blah, blah. So I was like, all right, I hung out the night before, sat there, see. I didn't pay, didn't study for it. And I just, I didn't really put much energy into it.
Right.
Ended up, we get our schedule. They had me in all remedial classes.
I didn't know college had remedial.
Yes. They had me in remedial. My whole schedule was in remedial class, remedial math, remedial English, remedial.
So it's just basically an extension of high
So
school.
I'm a presidential scholar, and my whole schedule is remedial.
Wow.
So I'm like, oh, hell. So I went to the dean. I said, oh, there's a mistake, and you don't understand. I'm a presidential scholar, blah, 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 right? Trying to get over like I do. No one's as exempt. You have to.
You have to go through
Right.
the process.
So it is what it is.
Right.
I'm like, no, look, I can't waste a whole semester on classes that are not going to count towards my graduate. I can't do that. You should have thought about that when you took the test. Okay, I get it, right? Got to, do the same thing for everyone, but, can I
I'm
just...
different.
Yeah, I'm like, no, but, let me take the test again. No. I said, okay, I'll tell you what. If you let me take the test again, I promise you, I'll do exceptionally well. Just let me take the test again. So it was me and a friend of mine that they let us take the test again. And I was so nervous. I studied the whole week and so then we ended up, acing the test, right? Mm-hmm. But I still felt this whole fear that I'm going to fail out of college, right? And then that's not going to be okay, and I'm going to lose my scholarship. So then that whole year, I was studying every night. I worked hard because it was out of fear.
Yeah.
And I just put my head down. Comes out at the end of the year, I had the highest grade point average of any freshman in the school. And I got an award for highest GPA.
And you didn't cheat.
And I didn't cheat.
Yeah.
So because of fear and the fact that I had to actually do the work, now I said, oh, okay, well, maybe I'm not dumb. Maybe I am smart. And so that changed that belief, that I actually, was intelligent. And my mom was like, see, I told you. I told you. But my belief was my reality, And so, but what's interesting is all my negative beliefs that were set as a child, they were broken because of fear. I can't figure out how to not break a belief, not using a strong emotion like fear. You know what I mean?
I think that's everybody, actually. If you think about what drives us as humans to do what we do, I think fear is a big part of it.
Yeah.
Fear is the base of it.
Yeah.
That's what causes most people to take action is the fear of something happening or not happening.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, fear is huge. Oh, George is on here. George, Virgil, Alfred, Sonia. All right. Tracy, hey. A lot of people tuning in this morning. So now you all know.
A lot of people know now.
Now you know. Now you know. It's crazy. And so then the other thing was, because I thought that I was lazy and I always had to be what was interesting is that's how I became a thrill seeker. because I always had to be stimulated or else I'd be asleep. And so, George says, West Coast. So what happened is now I am doing things like I used to party all the time. I used to, I just was always kind of like trying to keep myself awake, because I didn't know that I had a sleeping disorder. And so then my mom, this is the other thing. So Alabama State was an hour and 15 minutes away from home. And I used to tell and driving home, I used to fall asleep, and there's these big logging trucks. There's just scary, right? These 2-lane highways, and I would like fall asleep and see this big truck coming at me,
like
right?
Final Destination, the movie.
Oh my God, it would
Have a heart
freak
attack.
me out. So I used to tell my mom, I'm like, listen, I can't come home, I'm tired, and I'm gonna fall asleep. If you didn't party all the time, you'd be able to come home and blah 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 blah, right? And and you need to stop partying all the time. So then I got the thought that I party too much, which I did. That wasn't a false belief, right? But I didn't realize why I was doing it.
Right.
And I would like go out. I didn't have any classes on Tuesday. I would go out on Monday and I would sleep through Tuesday. So I would go to bed like after coming home, partying on Monday, and I would wake up for class on Wednesday.
Wow.
I mean, other than going to the bathroom and stuff like that.
Parties on a Monday.
Oh yeah. So AUM, they didn't have any classes for whatever reason. They didn't have any classes on Tuesdays or whatever. So I arranged my classes where I didn't
Mondays
either.
was the day.
So that was like their weekend day. So I used to go over there and like kick it with them and blah blah blah. So that's what happened. Yeah.
Well, we're gonna continue this because I have questions.
Oh Lord.
So we're gonna continue this. I don't know what time.
Well,
how long we've been on here.
I have no idea. 32 minutes. Look at that.
Yeah.
So, all right. So just so I don't forget. So next time we're gonna pick up this belief
Again.
Yes. But I really want to, because I know where the shift happened, where my focus was happiness. I didn't even get to this. My focus was happiness, work was secondary. But my belief was, because all my advisors told me, they used to tell me, you would be so great. You could do so many good things if you could just focus. But you're not focused.
Right.
But I really was focused. I didn't know it. I was focused on having fun.
Right.
Right? I wasn't focused on what they wanted me to be focused on.
Right.
But my belief was I lack focus, right? So that was like my belief was I'm gonna have fun no matter what, because work is hard, so I have to have fun in life. And then it turned into I need to focus, and then I cut the fun off, and I know when that happened. So we're gonna talk about that next time.
Yeah. So.
Well, this was a fun conversation.
I'm gonna try really hard not to ask any questions between now and tomorrow.
What's tomorrow? Tomorrow's Saturday. Is tomorrow Saturday?
Oh yeah, tomorrow's Saturday. Today's
All right,
Friday.
we're gonna be back on 9 o'clock tomorrow.
I don't know. Yeah,
That work?
that's fine.
9 o'clock. You all can come back at 9 o'clock.
9-ish.
9-ish. 9-ish. It'll be the 9 o'clock hour. All right. Hey, love. Now it's gonna be too early for you, George, because you're 3 hours. But for the rest of you, you can join us.
But he'll see it later, right?
Yeah, you'll see it later. All right. Love it. Someone says, wait. I saw something else here. It was so cheating hustlers.
Oh, that's what I called you, cheating hustler.
Yeah. Tracy says that's funny. All righty. Love you all. Take care. We'll talk to you tomorrow.